Good evening, everyone. Welcome along to Apex Online Racing, Season 17, Round 5, here at a very, very soggy Misano. And as always, brought to you by our lovely Patreon members. And it is me, Tim360 Lun in the booth, and I'm joined once again by Martin as well. Good evening, Martin.
Yeah, good evening, and today it's all about It's Raining Man. Hallelujah, right? So it's raining right now, and it will be raining, that's for sure. And yeah, hopefully the track will not convert into the ocean. So that happened in one of the practice race. So the sad word was that the feeling was really that you're driving with a boat on the water, not with a car, and that's why maybe the Bentley and the Poppin did the best result into the free practice, because I think the Bentley sometimes is called boat, right?
It is the Boatley. It is the Boatley indeed. And I think, yes, I think the big stable front-engined rear-wheel drive cars are probably going to be the safest bets in weather like this today. It is absolutely sodden out there. It's going to be wet qualifying and a wet race, so at least the drivers know what they're going into. But it isn't necessarily something they're looking forward to, I would imagine. But so while qualifying is just beginning to do its thing, and it's probably going to take a lap or two for drivers to get their tyres fully up to temp, let's have a quick run through the championship as it stands. So, at the moment, Aidan Walsingham leading the championship with 388 points. He's been on the podium every single round, but he is not participating this evening. This is his one race of the season he is going to be missing, much to Jardier's delight, as he is in second place in the championship with 341 points. Then Matteo Naldi with 247. Sorry, got a mouthful of muddles today. Remy Papin in fourth place with 222, and Michael Thomas with 187. Will be top 5 in the championship, but it is all on the line tonight. Jardier will be looking to get as many points as he possibly can, but there is a great big spanner in the works for him this evening. He was probably thinking, great, my main rival is gone, but a main rival from a season or two ago has come back this evening. We have Valentine Barrier on the grid today, so he is going to be one to keep a serious eye on, Martin.
Yeah, I fully agree with you, and I think that it will be a really interesting battle. No matter that Aidan is not here, and I checked the overall standings as you did for the, let's say, the total points, but I'm really impressed that Aidan so far has won 3 races, and then in one of them he was second. So basically, yeah, he haven't been the worse position than the second right now. But I have one quiz for you. So who do you think has the track record for the circuit track in the Misano?
Ooh. Off the top of my head, I'm not sure. I'm going to come out and say Luke Whitehead, just because he generally dominates everything, but I might be wrong.
No, I mean, let's say in the real life, with any car.
In real life, oof, crikey. And in any car, are we talking GT3 or are we talking any car?
No, we're talking any car.
Oh god, I wouldn't have a clue. This is probably going to shame everybody at home. I don't actually watch F1. I'm really sorry, everyone. If it's not a tin top, it's not on my viewing list. Come on, you got to tell me. Is it Verstappen?
No, and that's the thing. At least for the last couple of years, and I think maybe never that F1 hasn't been in the Misano. So basically, it isn't an F1. But that's why I'm raising it up. So basically, the fastest time is made by Latvian Harald Schlegelmilks, and he's a Formula driver. So so we Latvians can be proud. And that's what I'm doing each time when we have a Misano on the stream. So
fair enough.
I'm reminding guys about that one. So yeah, that's nice. And the good thing is that Harald's made even a better time this year. So basically, he had a track record before, and he made it even faster this year.
Goodness gracious. Obviously feeling very comfortable at Misano then. It's one of those circuits that you can be really quick, but it only takes one little mistake, and the sort of the big braking zones you have on this circuit just absolutely ruin a lap. So you especially see that down that back straight, then going through that flying right-hander, and then you've almost got that long double apex at the end of the back straight where you're hard on the brakes. Giardier's just put himself into pole with a 1:42.06. He is on a big improvement, and he actually is obviously very happy with that and decided to pull over to the side. Ranieri coming across the line and puts himself in third. Is he going to carry on? I'm hoping he is, because I'd like to try and go on board. And it appears that he is. So let's go on the dash of the smiley face Mustang. That's the only thing I can say, because it's just got a smiley face where the livery name should be, so that's absolutely fine. But to get a bit of an idea of the visibility that these drivers have, you can see it is super slippery. I imagine the Mustang is probably going to be absolutely monstrous on the back straights, but I'm wondering how it is going to survive through here. Note the big sausage curves on the outside edge of the track there. Those will claim many victims. The car bounces over one, and then it's almost loaded with suspension as it hits the next one, and you end up getting some absolutely wild moments. I think it was a couple of years ago, I remember in an actual real Fanatec GT World Challenge, there was a Porsche that went through there on lap 1 and ended up sort of bouncing and bouncing, and to the point where I think it actually managed to completely write off the chassis. It cracked the middle of the chassis because it just bounced again, and then hit the third one with the nose, and it was a right old mess. It made it about 20 yards beyond the sausages, and then that was the end of it. So this is the back straight. This is this big braking zone I was talking about. Very easy to make a mistake here. You need to use the inside curb. It's going to be very difficult to use that curb here in the wet. And then again down into this final hairpin, rolling on the throttle. And you think the visibility is bad here now. You can only imagine what it's like when you've got, you know, cars all around you, a little bit squirrely there. So Christian Ranieri running in 4th place at the moment. He is improving on his time. Decent exit out of the corner. It should be a nice little improvement up into 2nd place. Lovely, lovely stuff.
Yeah, I think maybe that will not disturb the Tier 1 guys that much, but still, I think the biggest thing in the practice races that we had in the weekend was the drive-throughs and the track limits. Because once again, maybe we can check Naldi, for example, or anyone that is driving once again an onboard. So I will tell the spectators more. So here we can see Eugene Vinogrado, and yes, that's back straight he's going, and this is the big place, let's say, where you can get the track cut, and basically if you go too wide on this corner, you can get even 2 cuts in one corner. So that's crazy. And also a thing here, you see you need to drive quite closely to the edge, and as it's wet, there is a quite big opportunity to bump a little bit off the track and get the track cut there. So basically I would say there are 3 corners that, mainly 3 corners where you can get, let's say, the track cuts very easily. As I said, so that for the Tier 1 guys, I think they have trained more, and they have a more stability and the control of the car. But
you'd like to think so, anyway.
Yeah, let's see how it goes. And basically here is the 3rd corner, just when he's going onto the left. You can see, so you need to take inside, outside, and yeah, it's really close. And if you drive a bit too wide here, it's once again a track cut. And as we know, we can have 3 track cuts, and then on the 4th one we are having a drive-through penalty. So anyhow, I think that's a thing that no one wants to have, because you can be as fast as you want in the track, but if you get a drive-through, it's in this track, I think it's still around 30 seconds most probably. So, and we don't have that much laps today in, so you're losing a lot of positions because of that. And one more thing, as you already mentioned, regarding the braking zone, it's quite tricky, and if you get into the inside, either you slip on the inside curb or on the outside curb. Basically you go a bit too wide on the braking, the car will get sideways, and you're once again losing a lot of time. And one more interesting thing in this Misano circuit that I think a lot of spectators for sure don't know, and maybe some drivers don't know, but you need to be very careful driving in this circuit, because straight after this straight and the turn on the right, the track is coming once again back. So basically, if you spun into the inside there, and if you drive, let's say, up to the track, not straight to the track, but a bit forward and to the track, you can very easily be easily disqualified, because the game is thinking that you are driving the next section of the track wrong direction, and it's happening really fast. So basically, you need to drive 10 meters straight, and you're disqualified straight away. So that's what happened with few of the drivers in a few leagues that I have seen. So yeah, just the drivers need to be aware of this. If you spun inside that corner, you have to be very cautious how you're driving out on the track.
I think especially with the wet weather as well, the grass is going to be even worse. And say at the moment, looking at Michael Thomas, and you were saying, it's this corner here. If you end up going to the inside and across the grass, which it does happen, you have some contact with the previous corner and the car goes sliding. Yeah, I think we've definitely seen it in previous seasons.
It's after the big straight. So basically, if you can put it on the cockpit right now.
Let's go to it. Yep.
So basically, in this corner, if you get inside and spun here, so basically you can see the track is going the opposite direction. So basically the track is going straight opposite direction here, and if you spun here inside on the right one, the track is thinking that you're driving this way on this side of the track. So that's an interesting thing, because I think the borders of each side where you're driving is not set quite correctly in this particular place of the track. So yeah, and especially, as you said, in the wet conditions, it can happen. So yeah, the drivers need to be very cautious, because it happened to one of the drivers in the other league where I'm also commentating, and we checked the replay afterwards, and we didn't understand what's happening for the first minute, I think, because it was like 2 seconds and disqualified. And then we just started to check and understood that that's that thing. So yeah, the drivers need to be very cautious there. But I think we need to get back to the qualification, and we see that Jardier is still on the first in the pole position right now. But before, his gap was half of the second. Right now it's much smaller, so Kumpu is only 4/10 of him, and then the Thomas is 7th, and also Ranieri is less than, and Naldi. So basically those 4 guys are quite close to each other, and also quite close to Jardier. So let's see, we have 2 laps for someone, 1 lap for those ones that are on the straight start-finish line right now. So I think it will be quite an interesting battle, and the question is, can someone overtake Jardier right now into the qualification and grab the pole in the last minute?
Obviously, the pole position, I'm pretty sure on this circuit, is over. You start on the left-hand side of the circuit, so Kumpo might actually be in a good position if he can match Jardier off the line. Oh, Michael Thomas, there we go, takes it away at the very last second. A 1:41.9, so the first driver to break into the 1:41s, and right near the end of qualifying, he's going to get one last lap to try and improve, but that is absolutely huge improvements. Jardier was slightly up on his lap, but he was getting quite squirrely earlier on. I reckon he's probably on the ragged edge. But as I was saying a moment ago, obviously whoever is in second place is essentially going to have the inside for turn 1. Obviously turn 2 immediately then flicks back to the left hand side, so it can be a bit of swings and roundabouts, see how it works, but it does give you a slight advantage if you are over to the right hand side of the circuit as you come down towards turn 1. So it'll be interesting to see if anyone can take advantage of that, get a decent start off the line, get the car sort of up and going. Nice to see such a different array of cars at the top of the order as well. So we've got, at the moment, we've got a Honda, an Aston, a Ferrari, Lamborghini, a couple of Fords. So it's good to see such an array of different cars, and good to see the Ford going well here this evening as well.
Yeah, we see right now that the Jardier is back into the lead, but Raineri right now is 4/10 of his time, so he will he could be the top qualifier right now. He just need to finish this lap, but okay. Also, Jardier is making a progress in his time, so let's see how it ends up. So yeah, for Raineri it's like 3/10 off his time, so it should be enough for that time that Jardier have right now. And yeah, right now, before that he had a delta on -2/10, but right now he's on the same time basically. So if Raineri keeps the pace, yeah, I don't think it was the best line. So. But still, he's improving basically 2/10, so maybe not for the pole, but for sure to get better. And this exit also not that as he would like to, but I think he will still jump some places. And yeah, he's finishing in the 4th position.
I think I've just seen someone in the chat just saying, what happened to Kumpo? And I'll be honest, I don't know. He was... Oh, here he is. Is he available? Yeah, he's still there. He is in 7th place. For a minute, I panicked and couldn't see him on the grid for a brief moment there and had a little bit of a worry. But there we go. That is the end of qualification. A couple more cars, I think, to come home. But I believe that is pretty much it. All the cars across the line. That was some pretty tight stuff. It's been very, very close. I'm trying to see if there is anyone still out there on the track. It doesn't appear that there is. We will give it a brief moment and then we will run through the grid whilst the cars are on the grid. So that would be very nice to see. But you can just see at the moment just some static imagery there. Is it going to let me do it? Yes, it is. The ACC gods are on my side today. It actually let me do something half decent. Oh, and we've got quite a decent camera shot as well to look at some liveries and things. And there you go, I completely lied. Turns out, if you start in pole position, you start on the right-hand side of the track here. So, completely wrong. I will be, taking my penance later. Right, let's have a run through the grid as it stands for now then. So at the moment, pole position is Giardia. 2nd place is Michael Thomas. Naldi in 3rd. Ranieri in 4th. Remy Papin in 5th. Newcomer to the season, but old-timer to AOR. Valentine Barrier in 6th. Kumpo in 7th. Jonathan Clifford 8th. DeLucia in 9th place. And Noel Jorge in 10th place. Martin, did you want to carry on for a bit?
Yeah, sure. Christers Podans into the 11th place, York into 12th, Fazekas 13, Poggi 14, Waring 15, Buzov 16, Guilot 17, Martin 18, Kazlauskas 19, Vinogradov 20th, 21st Bilen, 22nd Kroos, 23rd Savage, 24th Lawrence, 25th Sandre, and 26th Levchenko. And maybe I can fastly go through the BOP, so I understand also how, let's say, are the split and the weights is on the cars. So we can see that the biggest, let's say, the biggest BOP on the car is for the Mercedes. It has a plus 23 kilograms on this course. Then we have a BMW that is 13 kilograms added weight. Then Huracan Evo 2, 8 kilograms. McLaren GT3 Evo 7. Aston Martin 4. Audi 3. Porsche 1. Ford Mustang has a 0. And I'm kind of worried about it because Mustang is the OP car right now, and with the 0, even with the big straight, okay, this is not the best track for the Mustang most probably, but there's still a straight, and Mustang is most probably one of the decent cars still, also without any bop here. So then Nissan GTR is -2, Ferrari 296 -2, Honda -4. Then from those, I think, and then yeah, Bentley is -14, and I think we don't have any other cars on the grid.
There's a bit of a
So yeah,
reduced grid as well this evening, just in number, isn't it? I think what we were saying, there's 26 cars on the grid, so whether or not that's people sort of deciding they just really didn't fancy swimming again this season, it really is a bit of a winter championship this time round. We've had some fairly soggy old races, which normally, the weather's a bit drier, but someone behind the scenes has obviously been very angry with our with our drivers, and has just decided to let it absolutely rain and rain. I'm looking at the weather predictions at the moment as well. So it's obviously raining at the moment. We're going to get harder rain in about 10 minutes, and then it appears to go back to sort of this rain, which is still pretty incredibly hard, as you can see from the drone cam. It's absolutely whipping past the lens. But it is, I think essentially it's a 99% chance of an all-wet race. So we are going to be expecting some pretty soggy stuff. And to get an idea of just how soggy it is, I think if we go to the back of the grid, so we go to Levchenko, the cars are about to begin their outlap / formation lap. So obviously this isn't even going to be at race speed, so the amount of spray coming off these cars will be greatly reduced. But you can already see when you just got a car close in front of you how little view you have, and these cars will be this close as they're running down and waiting for the green lights to actually begin the race. But you'll get an idea of just how little visibility they're going to have just by the amount of spray coming off the tyres. You really could see immediately cars just disappear into the distance. And I would say that my graphical settings are dialed right up, to be fair, on my end. And so I've pretty much got every car visible all the time, like all the bits and pieces. But you can see how easy it is to lose a car immediately, just in the spray. It is going to be absolutely insane out there in the first couple of laps when everyone is bunched right up, especially the first time down that back straight. It is going to be some fairly hairy stuff, I reckon, Martin.
yeah, for sure. It seems that it's one of the races when the track is like an ocean, and yeah, it will be really hard, and I think it's quite hard also for the drivers to guess, let's say, or to get the right pressure for the tires. Of course, we have talking about the race. We have a 60-minute race with one mandatory pit stop. We can't refuel, so basically the drivers needed to. Already now they need to have the right amount of the fuel for the whole race, and they have a one mandatory pit stop where they need to change the tires. So basically, if they haven't put the right pressure into the tires, they will be able to do it before the tire change, and then it could get better for them. But still, that's quite tricky, and as you can see in the big straight, so we barely see the road there, so it's mostly the water, especially inside. So then it's interesting also that we will see that for those drivers who has too much, that they have put too much pressure in. So basically they will drive on the straight, not on the left side, but on the right side, so to be on the wet, to try to cool down the tires. But with that much rain that we have right now, I don't think that warm or hot tires could be the problem. So let's see, but in these conditions, yeah, the track limits once again will play a crucial role. So let's see. I think it will be a really interesting race, with lots of interesting things and actions in it.
Just noticing that I think kind of at 8:01, Savage may have rotated on the sighting lap, so I'm not sure what's going to happen there, because he's definitely going to be starting out of position as cars now run their way towards the lights, waiting for that green. And there we go, 60 minutes of an incredibly wet Misano begins. Jardier does get a decent start and already puts a little bit of a squeeze on Thomas. Stays in behind him now, a little bit deep into the corner. Hopefully not too much bunching. They're all getting a little bit wider further back, but it doesn't look like any yellow flags have been flown yet. Oh, good to see that Carnival 801 did actually get to start the race properly and didn't lose anything there. Just trying to see Remy Papin. Looks like he's going to try and make a little move, possibly up the inside. It's all very squirrely, but when there's Mustangs and Bentleys coming together near the front row, It's looking like Giardier and Thomas have managed to break away a little bit. Naldi as well doing a good job there. Here comes Valentine Barrier up the inside, very brave under brakes, gets into the back. I believe that was Ranieri that ended up getting rotated round. So Ranieri would be very disappointed about that one. And yeah, what a comeback to the season for Valentine Barrier. Immediately gets himself into trouble with a bit of a bump. Obviously live stewarding going on here for the Tier 1 races. But for the first time now, they head out onto the back straight. And at the moment, Giardier has managed to break away from the pack that nice little bit. He has managed to just get a little bit of breathing room.
Yeah, we already saw the first contact, and we can see also the Mustang here coming out from the grass. So that's an interesting place where to be, basically. Not sure what happened with the Mustang, because it's not that usual when the cars are driving out from the grass there, but maybe some aquaplaning on the straight, because there's a lot of water, and if you lose the car a bit, you can get off the track, and that's really dangerous.
So that was Naldi. He had been running in 3rd place, and now the timing board catching up, and he's all the way down in 11th place now. So that was Naldi who was right up there. So he's gone from 3rd place down to 11th. He'll be very disappointed in that. He's going to have to do some serious work to climb his way back up through. I think there's another car there, the 256. And that was another big drive. That was Kumpo. Oh, and there's more things going on. Right, we're going back 30 seconds and try and catch up with the absolute massacre that's going on there. Oh dear, tier 1.
Yeah, there are four cars coming together, so yeah, quite tricky.
He just rotated round. To be fair, he did the right thing, and he's just lost grip and held the brakes. He's then clipped by one of the Mustangs, then a Mercedes, then a Ford Mustang, and then there's all sorts of carnage going on at the back of the circuit. So Kumpo, who literally just got a bit too much of that inside curb and ended up losing traction, but did the right thing and held the brakes. But I think it's the case of people do sometimes forget the yellow flag does mean slow down and prepare to stop. You don't know what's going to be around the corner in front of you, and that has really changed the top 10 in the grids, to be fair. We've now got, say, Giardier still leading and set the fastest lap. Michael Thomas, Papin, Clifford, Valentine Barrier, then Fazakas, Lucia, York, Josh Waring and Jorge have managed to get themselves into the top 10. So it is proper kicked off at the beginning of the 1 hour race. We are literally 3.5 minutes into it and it's already started. And here's a possible move here for pole position. Thomas has absolutely flown up behind Giardier, and Thomas has now set the fastest lap of the race, so maybe it took a little bit longer to switch the tyres on and get them up to temperature in the Aston Martin, but that is now looking like a properly quick race car, and it's going to be interesting to see if Giardier can do what he wants to do and score maximum points, or is he going to come home with another 2nd place this evening?
It's I don't know, maybe someone will not agree with me, but I think especially in these conditions, it's really hard to overtake in this track. You need to dive bomb most probably. That's a really tricky thing. What we already saw as Barrier went inside. So basically, in the dry conditions, it would be fully okay. But as it's wet and the inside is inside of that corner is even more wet than the outside when the racing line is there. So he was not able to brake in the time, and then he hit Ranieri and spun him. So basically that's very hard to overtake, and I think of course I don't know what was the setup, what was the damage and everything else, but that happened in the one of the practice race when I think De Lucia had some crash in the first laps, and he landed up behind me, and then basically he drove in the back of me like for 3 or 4 laps, and you can see he's in 7th place right now. I'm in the tier 4, so most probably we have quite a big difference in the speed. So yeah, I think that's a good example of how hard it could be to overtake here. And right now we can see the span of one of the drivers in the red Ferrari, and most probably he will brake too much on the outside. Yes, and that's what happened. That's what I mentioned. That if you brake a bit too wide, your tires are clipping the outside curb, and with track that moisture, then curbs also that wet. It's 99% of that the car will spun, and that's the only thing what you can do. You can try to get back onto the course as fast as you can and not spun, let's say, on the opposite direction. So here we can see Maris Lorenz. He was the one Mercedes that drives straight into the car that was spun in the front of him. I think it was Kumpo. So we can see two Mercedes racing to each other, but we can see that Maris' car is quite damaged, and also the straight speed and the acceleration is much better for Buzov. And you can see also here Buzov didn't have that good exit. He needed to fight, let's say, with the car and with the traction, but still he was faster than Lorenz. So yeah, I think Lorenz will not be very fast till the boxes, and most probably he is not going to the boxes right now. He will not have the car repaired to not lose the time. So yeah, let's see. Very unfortunate for him. And we see the Buzo went just straight. So he will also lose some places. And you can see how he went here. And I think that could be a thing what I said about the two track cuts. That could be the case, because if you drive that wide on that corner and then cross the curb there, and that's also interesting, yeah, that in one corner you basically can have a two track cuts. So you're driving with the two track cuts easily, there's no risk, and then in one corner it says final warning and drive-through penalty. So it happened to me once. So in that corner, yeah, I need to be very cautious. And here we can see that Lorenz is the train driver. So he's leading the pack of 5 drivers. So there's Lorenz, then Savic, behind him Vinogradov, Buzov, and Martin. So let's see. And right now we saw that Savic was fighting with Lorenz, and right now Vinogradov is inside, but it's very, very sleepy there. So let's see if he will be able to stop in time. And yeah, it's as I said before, so the inside is really, really sleepy. So basically you need to brake much faster than the guys on the outside, and if there would be a car on the side, so basically they would both crash out. So that's good that he was that inside, that he was able to go in the half of the track. And we see that Lorenz in the 3 corners have lost already 3 positions. So right now Vinogradov is in the lead in this group.
When he's just made a mistake himself, and so has Savic. And so Buzov, who lost all these positions a lap ago, has now just taken them all back. He's just keeping it clean and managing to hold on to it. It's a proper all over the place kind of race in the mid pack, isn't it? It is proper kicking off in different places. Again,
I was willing to say that in these, let's say, on the dry track, it's much more fun to see the tier 1 drivers, because they're driving really close to each other and the fights and so on. And I was willing to say maybe we need to watch the tier 5 drivers, because that will be really a lot of action, a lot of fun. But it seems that we don't need to go that. So it's still a lot of let's say braking problems and everything else in the tier 1. So yeah, I'm a bit surprised, but so it means that the weather conditions is really, really tricky, and the guys are really willing to overtake each other and have fun.
Yeah, I am sweating getting ready for the Tier 2 stream tomorrow, because it has been, let's say it's been quite a bumpy season. We'll just say that so far. I think the biggest incident was, I think, over 20 cars involved in an incident. I think that was at Donington. So, yes, I'm putting this out already for the Tier 2 drivers tomorrow. Seriously, please keep it clean. It is the worst thing in the world when things happen. And there was one at Zolder as well. there was a big incident there, and on the opening straight, the race hadn't even started. Some of the drivers hadn't even crossed the start line, and it all kicked off there. So yeah, this is a prior warning. Me and Martin will be naming and shaming you next week on the Tier 1 stream if you cause big ruckus in the Tier 2 stream tomorrow, because Tier 1, the best of the best, seem to be squabbling it out a little bit. I mean, it's given us some absolutely fantastic racing to watch, but it does make me a little bit nervous if it's going to be this wet tomorrow as to what can happen. There's literally just over 10 minutes of racing have happened, and I reckon we could probably go back and watch about 10 minutes worth of replays if we wanted to.
Yeah, but that's a good question. I think the spectators are that's the thing what they're waiting, right? Some bumping and barging and stuff. So and that's why they would come here. So that's of course there's a two-way, let's say two options of a good content, right? Either you can have a really good overtakes as we had in the last race in the Zolder, or you can have a really good, really big and then crashes. So people are also watching those ones. So, but of course, if the whole race is a one big mess, then it's getting a bit exhausting into the 16 minutes. And here we can see that everyone from that pack have overtook Mars Lorentzen. As I'm saying it, he's taking his place back from Martin, and we can see that Naldi is getting in the back of them, but he's one lap back, I think, because he went to the pits, and he also, it seems that he repaired his car. So let's see.
We might have to wait to see what the timing board does. I think he is still on the lead lap, I think. I'm waiting to see what the timing board does, because he's just...
No, it shows plus 2 laps.
Oh yeah, no, he is down, isn't he? Yeah, so he's on an absolute charge, and he has done his mandatory pit stop, but yeah, he is a long way back, and he just needs to find himself some clean air and try and set some absolutely epic laps. I mean, to be fair, he is currently holding the fastest lap of the race, so he's doing the right thing, just sadly not in the pack where he possibly would have wanted to be.
It's let's say for him, as he has done his pit stop already, he's most probably on the best possible combination of the car setup and the tires, because if he have done his pit stop, basically he also have changed his tires, and if in the first 2 laps he understood that his pressures is not fully right, then he was able to adjust it. So basically he should be the one that is on the best possible pressures. Of course his tires will get a bit wear in and used already for after 20-30 minutes, and then they will not be that fast, but that's not a big surprise for me that he has the fastest time right now. Firstly, because when he's overtaking someone, he has a gap, and then he has a free air where he could drive, and also with the, let's say, the best possible pressure on the tires, of course, and of course one more thing, that he doesn't have anything to lose, right? He's going maximum in each fight and each corner, and that's also a big difference. But I think it will be quite tricky for him to get back somewhere in the top 10 or top 15, I think, because he lost a lot of time. Firstly, in the first corners, in the accidents, and when he get back onto the track. But secondly, also repairing the car. I would say he lost more than a minute, or maybe even more. So that could be quite tricky to get back. But driving that fast, and as I said, track cuts and more incidents and stuff, so that can happen. So he needs to continue on keeping the good pace, let's say, and that's it.
A bit of an update. Oh, sorry, I've got to quickly come in with this one. So, 5th place, Valentine Barrier, after that incident we saw earlier on, has picked up a 20-second penalty for that one and 3 licence points. And so that was turn 8 of lap 1, where we saw it earlier on, wasn't it? He went into the back of the Black Mustang and spun it round. So 20-second penalty for that offence. So although he is running in 5th place on the circuit, when he does his pit stop, he is going to have to serve 20 seconds sat there in the pit. So that is seriously going to knock him down the order. That is a big hit that he will not want.
Yeah, but that's always, let's say, we need to understand the both sides. Ranieri was on the 4th or I think 4th position at that point. He was spun, and then he was, because he got on the back of the pack, he got also into the big incident, and we can see that Ranieri is 5 laps or 7 laps already behind, and he's standing into the pits, so basically his race is over. So, and that's 20 seconds compared to the race over. I think it's it's hard to compare those two.
Our first drive-through, our first driver has come through for Vinogradov, so that is going to be for track limits offences. Yeah, and there we go, already in, and what we are just over 15 minutes of the race done, and we have already started to see track limit offences. So this is a real one to keep an eye on now. So sometimes it's not just a case of being quick, you need to try and keep it clean as well. Thomas has just set the fastest lap of the race and is right up the back of Jardier again. So the battle for pole position is starting to kick off. Remy Packman will be rubbing his hands together and thinking, come on boys, start the squabble, let me catch back up. Because Remy Packman and Clifford have dropped off the back of them a fair old bit. Obviously the gap behind them to Valentine Barrier is also plus 20 seconds now, so that really doesn't matter too much, but it's become sort of this 1st and 2nd place are really sort of up for contention, and it's not going to take much squabbling between them to allow the others to catch up, and then it'll be a 4-way battle for pole position, and that is the exact opposite of what Jardier wants. He just wants to sit there, do his fast laps, and try and get the highest points he possibly can.
Yeah, I think that will be a battle for the whole race, and being this close, also a few laps different of the, let's say, the pit strategy, right? Can change things, and here we can see
Josh Waring, I believe. So just Waring. I know also car 14 I saw a yellow flag out for just as I clicked the replay for this incident. So, oh, self-inflicted on that one again. Just used a bit too much of the outside curb in the wet. Very lucky not to get caught there. And again, oh, goodness gracious, he's desperately trying to get out of the way, but cars going around the back of him. That was some seriously lucky stuff, and fair play to the drivers that were coming around the corner and then suddenly finding that great big green Mustang slap bang in the middle of the circuit for avoiding that. That could have been a lot worse, so hats off to those drivers that managed to avoid it. De Lucia has just picked up a 10-second time penalty as well, and that's on turn 4 of lap 1. So 10 seconds and 2 licence points for car number 54. So De Lucia,
and we see that Tavic is also having a drive-through. That's already a 2nd driver that having it for the track limits.
So it really doesn't take long to add them up, especially like you were saying in the wet conditions as well. It does not take long to these little mistakes to start stacking up. I mean, half the time as well, you find you sort of go a bit wide on a corner, find yourself off the circuit, and by the time you've managed to get yourself back on, then you end up going wide on the next one because you're totally not set up for going around the corner. So as you were saying, very easy to pick up more than just one. You can pick up 2 very, very quickly. Trying to see now, is there another one coming in as well? Yes, so another one as well. Vinogradov, who had the drive-through penalty for track limits offences, has now picked up a 15-second penalty as well, and that was for an incident on lap 1 as well. So more and more incidents rolling in. The stewards absolutely working their fingers to the bone on this one. Let's see if we can cut back to someone in a bit more of a close battle. So we've got Poggi and De Lucia, and although they are very close on track, obviously that 10-second penalty for De Lucia is going to seriously mess things up. It's going to be Crows will be very pleased to know that he's going to gain a position through the pit stops, even if it isn't done on the circuit. And I imagine Poggi will be thinking, well, at least I know there's a 10-second penalty, so as long as, even if I let De Lucia through, as long as I stay within 10 seconds of him, technically, I can get the position back easy peasy. I mean, I don't know if anyone watched the race that was this weekend for it was the GT3. I think it was the final round of the GT World Challenge Endurance. That was some pretty impressive stuff, and that was basically won and lost in the pit stops. So that was obviously the end of the series that this game is based around. So I do recommend watching it. It's all on YouTube for free as well. It's absolutely fantastic. Speaking of things that are on YouTube, us obviously tomorrow as well, 7:30 for Tier 2. Also, this all won't just be a stream. There'll be a VOD available immediately after this. This is brought to you by our Patreon members, and if you feel like you fancy supporting us a little bit, jump onto our Patreon. Link is in the description below this stream, and will be in the link below this video as well when it's uploaded afterwards. But if you don't fancy supporting us monetarily, that is absolutely fine. You can still get involved with us at apexonline.racing, where you can sign up and get yourself in the series. You can also get behind the scenes a little bit, have a good look at all the data, the track times, everything you can imagine, all the points, the full breakdown, all the rules, bits and pieces are available there. And if you fancy getting involved with all of us in the Discord as well, again, access to the Discord is available through the description of this stream. It'd be nice to see you. Come and enjoy. Just get involved in the racing. You never know, you might be on one of the Tier 2 or Tier 1 streams in the future. I mean, that's how I met you, Martin, is through Apex Online Racing. So you are a Tier 4 racer at the moment. So you never know. See, you might end up being in the comms box. You might end up on the race circuit. Who knows? You might be absolutely insane and go on the stewards panel, because that is a fate worse than death. I cannot even imagine being on the panel. I've done that in the past for different communities, and I would never do it again.
Yeah, for sure. That's a place where you're going out with a dog, or for the walk-in Sundays evening. You need to wear a hat, mask, and everything else. It's especially when you're going out when it's dark outside. So you need to be very cautious after those steward moves that you have made.
You would definitely want to be using a VPN at that point, I think. Make sure no one can trace where you are. Nice little battle just starting to heat up now. So we had a little bit of a lull in the action, but we've now got Busov chasing after the back of Levchenko. So it is a great big AMG Mercedes versus the flying Ferrari. And they were very, very close for a little bit. That gap just opening up slightly. The gap at the front has absolutely stormed up. Jardier has managed to pull away over 2 seconds now. I wonder, actually, what is going on with the timing board there, because it is flicking about, but he has managed to get quite a decent advantage. But at the moment, oh, here we go, and there's a possible going to be a move here. Levchenko went a little bit outside of where he wanted to be. He was out on the painted stuff, and that was going to keep his car very, very slippery. And now it's a case of what can the Mercedes do? Can it take advantage? It's going to have that little bit more confidence. I wonder if Levchenko is giving it absolutely everything to try and keep the Mercedes behind, but the Mercedes with that big amount of power, and he does throw it up the inside and manages to get the car stopped as well. As we saw earlier on in the race, we had incidents around this part of the circuit with people out-braking themselves, but Busov does go through. And now he's going to be going onto the part of the circuit where he's going to have an even bigger advantage on this back straight, where the Mercedes should be able to get away, and it looked like he had a better traction off the corner as well. Can he survive the end of the straight? This is where we've seen a couple of times now. Busov has gained positions, and then he has lost it towards the end. I almost want to turn away to not give the commentators curse, but it turns out that actually it was Levchenko that made a big mistake and went flying off. I'm going to go back 10 seconds to try and catch it. So what was that? That was, yeah, out on the paint, and you could see just could not get the car turned in on those wet curbs. Absolutely no steering at all at that point.
No, if you hit the curb, it's better to hit it straight as he did it. Otherwise, if you're let's say drifting a bit already inside, then most probably you will spun, and that will take much longer time to recover. Basically, but yeah, in this particular corner and the corner before, you don't want to use either the inner or the outside curb, because in these conditions it's too slippery basically. So yeah, need to be very careful with that one. But just to continue a bit on the track limits, I think the champion of the drive-through was one of the drivers in the practice race who got the drive-through 3 times. So that's basically 12 track cuts.
That is
in 16
seriously
minutes.
impressive stuff. That is almost to the point where you're doing rallycross, just using every bit of the circuit that's not tarmacked at that point. So, yeah, I would say to pick up 3 sets of drive-through penalties is does take some serious doing. On board at the moment with Savage, as he comes flying along, and he's got another one of the Mercedes up behind him. I do love the name of the team, 24-Hour Honkers. Absolutely fantastic. Oh, and there's a big mistake. The commentator's curse is really strong this evening. I apologise to anyone that I put on stream and you end up going off, because I do feel a little bit bad. Every time I cut to people, they seem to be flying off the circuit. So you can blame me, and you can blame Martin as well. There's 2 of us this evening, so it's double whammy. It's double commentator's curse. Having a look now, just jumping on board with Fazekas, who has got Matt York storming up behind him. These 2 have kept themselves fairly out of trouble, to be fair. They're both going to gain a position over barrier, just due to that 20-second penalty. But these 2, again, have just they've kept their noses clean. They've kept themselves nicely, well, they're just outside the, well, York is just outside the top 5, but will get himself inside the top 5. 32 minutes and change left of the race. And you can see the difference in lines they're taking as well. Obviously, the Mustang maybe just feeling a little bit more settled than the wily little Lamborghini. It's one of those cars that every time I get in it, I want to be able to drive it, and I just can't. Oh, car number 256. We have just seen off, and that is Kumpo. We'll go back. We'll go to the heli cam, or the drone cam, to try and get an image of what's going on here.
It's the good old place at the end of the straight.
Yeah. He's trying to be brave and using the painted stuff. Oh, and he knew immediately. He was unsettled there on the left-hander, immediately on the inside and then out into the gravel. So, out the way. And I think that's actually him. He's gone another lap down as well, because that is our lead driver, Giardier, that has just gone past him. So he has now dropped right back.
I think the interesting thing is that Thomas has been into the pits.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. Good spot. So Thomas.
Yeah, but that's only 31 minutes left. So basically, all of the drivers should go somewhere around right now. So a few laps before or after. So that will be interesting. How close he will return, or let's say, how far in the front Giardier will come, because you see he's at least 2 laps more on the track than the Thomas. So let's see. That's also a good question. What's happening with their tires and with the pressures that they have right now, and how let's say used are the tires, and what are the accretion of the speed, but we can check it right now. So basically for Giardier, last lap was 1:44.0, and for the Thomas it was 1:44.1. So basically the same lap time right now. Even Giardier was faster. So it seems that there's not that much of problems with the tires and with managing the tires. Basically, if the speed is still the same as with used tires, as same as with new ones. Of course, Thomas will need a few laps to get the tires into the right heat, let's say. But so I think we will be able to check it in a few laps. But I think the Giardier will faster go into the pits. So and the thing that the Giardier has made the fastest lap in the previous lap. So it means that he has a really good tire still on. And as we are driving with almost a full tank at the beginning, from the beginning. So the fuel is getting the amount of fuel is getting smaller and smaller into the cars. So basically you can drive faster and faster. And I think the problem usually is the tires, but it seems that in these conditions the tires are not. The tire wear is not that big, of course, and if you got the pressures right, then the tires is working quite nicely also after 30 minutes.
Yeah, I think the fact that it has been so wet has meant that there hasn't been too many sort of out the ordinary overheating issues. We haven't really seen anyone going off the racing line. August, the racing line is pretty much just a river anyway, isn't it? There's really not much to sort of choose from, so whether you go to the right or the left of the circuit, it is just absolutely wet, and you can still see now we're on board with Matt York on the dash of the Mustang, chasing after the back of Fazekas, and you can see there's really not much between them, but the amount of visibility you have of the car in front is so minimal. Immediately just dips out of view as soon as the car in front is putting up spray, and you are immediately in that sort of line of fire. You just lose so much visibility, and I think Matt York might be struggling a little bit here in the wet, just struggling to maybe keep the car up together. And just seen that a new fastest lap has just been set by Valentine Barrier, broken into the 143s, so it's almost essentially turning into a bit of an exhibition race for him at this point. It's just a case of, I know I can't win it now, but I can at least show that I've got the pace to have been up there if he hadn't have had that incident earlier on in the race.
Yeah, and I think, yeah, we talked about Naldi, and he's still really fast, but we can see that he's behind Waring, he's behind Lawrence, and he's also behind Savage, that had a drive-through penalty. Basically, it means that he lost really a lot of time in those first laps. And I checked Lawrence's car, and it seems that he has made a repair for his car, because right now for his Mercedes it doesn't seem that damaged anymore, and we can see him in the background right now, as we have only Mercedes in this race, so it's not that hard to see to see that it's Mercedes and who's driving it. So right now checking. Oh no,
there was the third one. I think
three, right?
Yeah,
I think Buzo has one and Kroos has one, right?
Yeah, the issue is they are both. They appear to be running the same livery. They are meant to have these beautiful, like, wings up the side of the cars, but for whatever reason, there has been nothing but issues with their liveries this season. So lots of back and forthing between me and the guys at Sector Blitz Racing, but haven't managed to find a solution for it. So I'm not sure why. So at the moment, it's Sector Banana Racing is the nickname I've sort of come up between them at the moment. So yeah, we've got two bright yellow Mercedes, but it does make it quite difficult when you're flicking between the two of them to work out who is who. Oh, Jardier into the pits. This is a big one. So Jard's into the pits, and let's jump on with Michael Thomas and see whereabouts on the circuit he is. He's still a fair old way away, but has he done enough? And is that undercut going to work for him? We'll have to keep a bit of an eye to see what happens. Jardier.
From the lap times, it seems that Jardier have been faster before, so I think he will even get more of an advantage than he was before. So if I would need to guess, I would say 3.5 seconds most probably when he will get back to the track, and we see that he's. And we can see both of them into the same picture, let's say. So let's see what will be the difference.
We go to the drone, and you can immediately see that gap is still humongous, isn't it? Absolutely massive.
It's a bit closer than I thought, maybe. So let's see. Right now we'll see the timing, and then we'll be able to say. No, it's 3.3, 3.7. So basically, I guessed almost right the amount. So if before the pit stops the difference was 1.5, 1.7, somewhere around that. So in these, yeah, but there's quite a lot of laps. So basically 6 laps, I think. In those 6 laps, Jardier was able to add 2 more seconds in this one, and also he has a better tires right now. Because he changed it right now for the Thomas. But yeah, as we saw at the end of this stint before the tire changes, it doesn't seem that the tire wear is a problem. And
just caught a
yeah, as
big
we're talking
incident
about
there.
it, yeah,
That
unlucky.
Yeah, I think that was a case of recovering from a bit of a slide and then on the brakes to control himself before going into the corner, and then yeah, now the absolutely yeeting the back of him there. So it has not been a good race at all for Savage.
It seems that Savage was getting over the line. He got the drive-through and he thought that he needs to go straight into the pits, and that's why he braked in the place where nobody is braking. And of course the car behind him was not able to react if the car is braking in the middle of the straight, basically. And if I said that the record is 3 drive-throughs, so basically we are seeing the second one on Savage, right? And it's 23 minutes left. So basically taking in the time, it could be the third one also could come.
Possibly. There is still time, and so when you get yourself into a bit of a case of not sort of, you know, not in that zone, you sort of break away. In fact, I think he's off the racing line a little bit there. Maybe not. No, he's not. Right, so there has been another incident coming through. I've just noticed it at the bottom of the screen. So this was on lap 2 involving car number 7, 14, 27, 98, 183 and 256. And a 30-second time penalty to car number 256 and 2 licence points. So that is blue. I'm just trying to see here now. So it looks like car number 256, that is Kumpo, has picked up a 30-second penalty. Delucia has been completely disqualified from the race. So that, I can only presume, is what we were saying about earlier on, where, oh, for speeding in the pits. Is it? I always thought it was you got a stop go 30 for speeding in the pits. So that must have been really big speeding in the pits. If he's managed to pick up a disqualification, that is big, big time.
That's I can imagine that you're doing it in a Monza, for example, but in this track you need to come really slowly into the corner, and then you need to be on full throttle basically without any braking to have it in the speeding onto the pit line to get the disqualification. So if I would let's say guess, then most probably that's what I told before. And yeah, so let's see. But I think also we missed at one point that Levchenko also had a drive-through, so most probably also because of the track cuts we see that Barrier has the drive-through right now. So there's quite a lot of guys in the tier 1 also having the track cuts, or the 4 track cuts, and that's getting into the drive-through penalty.
Just seeing as well, it's just come through in the chat, bit of insider information. Someone obviously watching the stream of Delucia. Apparently he crossed the pit line at 50 mile an hour, but was still in second gear. So when he went to just obviously thought he had the pit limiter on, and normally you just put your foot flat to the floor with the pit limiter on, you're fine, but he was still in second, so he just immediately booted his way down the pits, and then that was it. So obviously that acceleration mid-pit has the game has decided, no, that is it, disqualification. So what a way to go. And it's one of those really easy things to do if you don't get yourself down into first gear. It doesn't matter if you're holding your pit limiter button or not, it will not engage. So, but yeah, so apparently it was only for a split second, I'm also seeing in the chat. But that is the way ACC goes sometimes. Sometimes it giveth, sometimes it taketh away. Little battle starting to appear here. I think, maybe not. I thought it was. No, there's a back marker between them. I thought Jorge and Fazekas were very close together, but it's not. There is a Ferrari out of place between them that is messing with the timing board in the way that it loves to do so much. And cars being in the pits as well also completely throws everything out the window when it comes to the old timing board. Looking at it now though, for the moment, on the road, the another one of the Honkers cars, kind of an 802 of Sandre. He hasn't pitted yet, but he is currently leading the race on the road. Then we have Giardier running in second place on the road, and he has completed his pit stop, so this essentially puts him in net first. Michael Thomas running in 3rd place. But look who is creeping into the back of the shop. Car number 6, Remy Papin, is starting to bring the fight to him. So, from what had been a battle for 1st place for a long time, is now beginning to be a bit of a squabble for 2nd place. I'm surprised to see that the Aston seems to have slowed after the pit stops. You would expect with less fuel and fresher tyres that car would be able to continue to push forward. Maybe there was a mistake on the pressures. Very easy to select the wrong pressures, or even if it's a case of sometimes, I know it has been done by myself many times, when you do your setups, you set your pressures and then you have to make sure that your pit stop mirrors those pressures. I wonder if perhaps maybe he didn't mirror them and so he's now running different pressures. Who knows? We might have to wait until post-race chat if Thomas comes in for a chinwag with us, but at the moment Papin is really taking the fight forwards.
Seeing that his last lap was 1:43.6, that is quite fast. So I would not say that he has some problems with the pressure. Most probably he had some mistake, because he was like, after the pits he was 3.5 seconds from the Jardier, I think, and it was 7 minutes ago. So basically in the 3 laps he have lost more than 6 seconds. So it's quite unusual. So most probably some mistake from him, and then Papin get into the back of him. But as you said already, some minutes ago, let's say, as close as you get, as harder it gets to see. And yeah, we can see from Papin's view right now, it's really tricky, and they're not that close. They're not even that close. So you can imagine how hard it is to overtake these conditions, even if you're faster, or you feel that you're faster at that moment. So I think that's also a very good reminder for all of the other tiers that are driving tomorrow to try to set the fastest time as possible in the qualification, because it seems that it will be really tricky to overtake in these conditions. So basically the first car that person who qualified the first one has a really good advantage. But the only one more thing, I'm not sure, correct me if I'm wrong, but I haven't seen that in ACC any league is limiting the drivers for the viewpoint of their driving. It's the same for the Apex, right? The drivers can drive with any camera they want.
I believe so, yes. Oh, that's a big long slide. Tried to hold it, but again Savage goes off. We're just watching that back on the replay there. Just absolutely huge slide. That Ferrari obviously not comfortable to drive at all in these conditions. So I wonder if that maybe is a case of maybe that setup is just a little bit too stiff, and the car just not able to get the pressure, to get the traction down that it would have wanted to do. Oh, and actually here we go. So we watched the incident happen earlier on, and this was on lap number 19 involving car number 27 and 801, who conveniently we are watching over right now. And it is a 10-second penalty and 1 licence point for Savage, and that is for unexpectedly braking without regard for the car behind. So they issue the penalty there. They consider that to be dangerous driving. As you said, braked in a place where you really wouldn't expect someone to brake. And that absolutely 100% caused the incident. So there we go. The stewards have thrown down the hammer on that one. They have voted. Amazed at the amount of penalties actually here this evening. I was expecting slightly better stuff from everybody, and it looks like the rain's going to get even worse towards the end of the race. So hold on to your hats, gentlemen. It's possibly going to get even more wily towards the end of this race.
Imagine how it can get more rainy, but let's see how let's see how it goes. So that's
It's when it's just people throwing buckets from the stands. They're just throwing buckets of water from the stands in. I'm just noticing in the back of the shot as well. So Michael Thomas was under attack from Remy Papin, but he has dropped back slightly, I think, because he's now got a mirrors full of Jonathan Clifford and the 999 Lamborghini. And I can only imagine how hard it is to see that car behind you, because it is, not only is it a very dark colour, it's a very low slung car, that Lamborghini. It's very small, it disappears into the mist pretty easily. Let's get an idea of what it's like looking over the rear wing.
That's why the drivers are using a group chief or some other systems that are telling them about the opponents in the back and in the front, so they don't need to watch the mirrors basically, so they can just drive. And usually also the good drivers are using those things with the voice control, so basically they can ask their spotter for any information they need, and then the spotter is coming back and saying and helping them with that one. So that's really crucial, as the same as in real life, the same also in sim racing, that you have a spotter that is helping you with all of the information that you need, so you don't need to look in the mirrors that much or into the timing screen. That's of course a difference from the real life, because their guys can only trust to the spotter. Here in the sim racing, you can see in the place where you have set it for yourself. You can see also the standings and the differences and so on. So it's a bit more, let's say, more information that you can see by yourself.
Yeah, it's one of the things you do have the advantage when it comes to sim racing, that you can have these sort of, either you can change what information you want on your screen, you can have a lot more information just there to sort of pick and go at. I suppose the only downside to it is, one, you're the person, whilst trying to race absolutely flat out, also trying to deal with all that information and process it. And it's one of those things you were saying about tyre pressures. Obviously in real life racing, you've got someone in the pits that is going to make the decision of, oh, we need to add this much more pressure. Whereas in sim racing, especially in ACC, it's part of the sort of the in-game menu that you have to use, and you can obviously map it into your steering wheel, so you can have buttons so you can adjust it all on the go, but it's another thing to have to think about. You're having to race and do maths to be like, okay, I need this many, 0 point of a bar more pressure, or 0 point, so it's all PSI on this game, isn't it? You need to add those little bits of pressure, and then you have to make sure you add them in. You're sort of looking at the racing line, then you're looking at your numbers to make sure you're getting it spot on. So it is quite interesting. Sometimes you can see people's lap times before the pits start to tumble down, simply because they're so busy trying to work out, am I doing the right thing? Oh, Remy Papin has just picked up a 5-second penalty. Here we go, and that was quite quick, to be fair. So Remy Papin has picked up a 5-second penalty, and it's Remy Papin crosses the white line on pit exit and causes a minor collision with car number 28. So they were super close together at one point, but that maybe explains why they sort of were so close together. He exited the pit a little bit too soon, crossed that white line, and then ended up having a bump with his main rival on the track, Thomas. But that's absolutely ruined his race just by crossing the white line a little bit too soon.
Yeah, but that's let's say that's the rules. So you need to be cautious all the time, and as those small things can ruin totally the other guys racing. So I think if the stewards have made that decision, so then there was a purpose for that. So but of course right now the Papin is in the 3rd position, but with these 3 seconds he will fell down to the 4th position. So I think we will have very interesting 10 minutes, because Papin needs to get away from Clifford, but he's also he's Thomas in front of him, so I think it will be quite hard for him to get 2 more seconds onto the Clifford to go away. But the thing, just to finish the thing regarding the cameras, I think you can you put any of the hood cameras on the car? For example, right now we are looking at Kozlauskas, or car behind him, for example, and can you switch on the hood camera?
It is possible, but we don't tend to use them in the streams, simply because we always try and do the thing and make it look like you're watching a TV broadcast. I mean, technically, yes I can. But
yeah, and that's the thing. What I wanted to say. So that's I think that's a thing that I don't really like, and the to be quite open. I really even hate it that some drivers use it, but there are drivers that are using the hood camera. And the biggest difference is that on the hood camera you have a much less spray. So basically there's almost no spray. So in the rainy conditions it's much more easier to drive with the hood camera, and that's why I really don't like it because it's quite a disadvantage for the guys that are driving a usual way. And but yeah, there are drivers that has been used to driving the hood camera because you have a better viewing and a better view. But for me, I have tried it. I'm driving in the VR, and in VR it feels really stupid. Sorry for my French, but it seems really not that as I would like to drive with the VR on that camera. So yeah, I just wanted to pick it up that that's why some drivers are able to drive more closer to the drivers in up front, because maybe they don't have that much spray.
Yeah, no, I think that is fair enough. It's one of those things of, I always find it funny when you sort of, you know, people spend, because you can do sim racing on a budget, you really can. Oh, possible mistake here, yes! Kaz Lucas goes a little bit deep and lets Poggy through, and to be fair, Poggy had been applying the pressure for a little while, but now the mistake has been made by Kaz Lucas and Poggy does go through. But yeah, going back to it, I always find it funny that people spend ridiculous amount of money on a really realistic sim rig. They want, you know, the wheel and pedals that feel super realistic, and then they end up racing on the bonnet cam. It always seems in my mind that you'd want it to be as realistic as possible. So you want to be inside the car. Obviously, like, you know, not everyone has VR. I mean, I personally just, when I am racing, it's just on a monitor in front of me. But again, I still have it in the cockpit. It's still, you know, you get that feeling of, you know, the roll cage around you, the dash in front of you, the actual surprising lack of view that you have from inside one of these race cars. It is pretty insane how little view you have. I think there is actually a camera. There you go. Look, you get a bit of an idea of how little view you have from inside if we were to go on this cockpit cam. So you're looking for a very, very slim bit of vision. Plus the fact that obviously then on some of the cars, the BMW and I think the Aston Martin as well, they've got these whacking great window supports that run up through the middle of them. So you can get an idea of just how much of your vision is taken up by things that aren't even the racetrack. And again, if you are racing on a bonnet cam, or God forbid you're on a chase cam, which I can't believe that anyone at this level could possibly be using a chase cam. Yeah, there is obviously advantages to be had there. A little bit of a battle going on still between three drivers here, Fazakas, York and Gouliot. These three have been fairly close together for most of the race, to be fair. They're not going to gain anything from the Remy Papin penalty, but it might be sort of, you know, a bit of an incentive to try and push forward, see if they can close that gap up. But obviously Papin is really flying. Giardia has set the fastest lap of the race now, a 1:42.1. So obviously as the fuel load decreases, drivers getting quicker and quicker. Michael Thomas actually on a big improvement this time round. He's really flying. He's 0.2 up on his lap, but there's other drivers out there doing the same. Just trying to see if there's any closer battles than this. Yes, there is. There is this one going on. So they're recovering Naldi, chasing after the back of Lawrence. The DRS AMG Mercedes versus the BF Racing Mustang. Two sort of fairly similar cars, and two of the best sounding cars on the grid. I think they do sound so good. The big V8 rumbles. Obviously everyone appreciates, you know, the sounds coming out of, you know, sort of things like the Lamborghini, but there is something about the rumble of these when they go past that is just absolutely fantastic. And I do really suggest that if you are a fan of GT3 esports, try and get yourself to sort of, you know, to go and watch some of the GT3 stuff in real life. It's not as expensive as you would think, and obviously they race all over the world, so it is accessible. you know, from place to place, and it is really worth going to see. It will give you an appreciation for these cars that, yeah, I certainly didn't have as much of an appreciation for them until I got to see them in the flesh. But here we go, side by side. Going to try and go all the way around the outside. Aldi now. Bit more grip out there, but he's got a little bit slippery. Maybe just tried to get on the throttle a little bit too early in the corner. He's now had to sink back in behind the 98. He looks to the inside there. Sort of a bit of a double apex, this part of the circuit as well. There's a few different lines you can kind of take into that. You either go wide through the first part of the apex, then try and cut back across, or you can go tight and try and get on the brakes and get yourself up the inside, but it will give you a slower exit. Oh, big amount of speed there from these two cars, absolutely nose to tail. I imagine Naldi is properly squinting to try and see forward. He's got 4 minutes to try and get the move done. And fair play,
yep.
Both these drivers, they had incidents earlier in the race. The pair of them obviously both, you know, sort of got caught up in bits and pieces. But they're both still absolutely out there, slugging it out and keeping it going.
Yeah, regarding the engine noises, I was in the FIA Motorsport Games in Valencia, so one month ago. So that was one of the first times where I saw a lot of different GT3 cars in action at one point. And if in the game I don't really like the Audi's noise or engine noise that much, then in the real track I liked the Audi the most.
Yeah, that V10 does sound stunning, doesn't it? So obviously the Lamborghini running the same engine at the moment, but I think 2026 they are going over to a I can't remember. I think it's a V8 they're going over to a twin turbo V8 instead. So that'll be a bit of a change. I imagine Lamborghini will do something to try and make it sound as good as they possibly can. So you know they are known for their slight flamboyance when over the Audis. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens. And obviously the possibility of a new Audi coming as well soon. But it'd be interesting to see what they use as their base. I mean, obviously, you know, BMW have really shown that you don't need a low-slung sort of race car or, you know, even sort of like a muscle car like the Mustang. You can use literally a four-door saloon or two-door saloon, if you will, and it can still be a fully competitive car. So maybe not so much in esports. I haven't noticed BMW at the moment doesn't seem quite as sort of a heavy gunner as it has been in the past, but especially in the real life racing, the GT3, the BMW is a very strong competitor at the moment. So
yeah, it really differs. I think in the sim racing is the usual the car that is coming in new is the, let's say, the OP car, and that's the fastest car. And it happened with the BMW when they released it. It was like much faster than all of the other cars, the same as the Mustang right now. Of course, the BOP is helping that, but still, yeah, the newer cars are usually the faster ones. And then there are cars, let's say, kind of specific cars, for example, as it is with Mercedes. It's quite hard to drive, but it's a fast car.
I would say it's a hard car to drive, but it's a predictable car to drive, isn't it? It doesn't change its handling too much, I would say, over the space of sort of tyre wear and fuel burning. It doesn't seem to vary too much. I would say the Mercedes it's hard to be fast, but it's easy to finish in the Mercedes. That's what I've always thought. Probably why I used to use the Mercedes so much, because I was like, this is a safe bet. This feels quite comfortable and nice.
Yeah, it's hard to agree. It's hard for me to agree with you. It's the Mercedes, for me at least, is one of the most dangerous cars, especially in the first gear. I'm used to use the first gear quite a lot, and with Mercedes you can barely do it because it's really short and it really wants to spin. So yeah, I don't know. I'm used to McLaren and to Ferrari more, so maybe that's just for preference. But yeah. But yeah, we have 14 seconds left into the race, so basically that means that it's the last lap for Jardier, and he's 30-40. So basically he's, oh no, he were able to start finish line. So it's one more lap. So basically that means for Lawrence and for Naldi it's even 2 more laps. because right they're almost catched by a lap. So yeah,
They've got a
the
little while
interesting
yet to
battle is
go.
still going. So.
They have got a little while yet to go, haven't they? And it's again, I imagine Lawrence is probably hoping and praying that Joliet wasn't going to make it to the line that quickly. I mean, now they'd be very pleased about that because it gives him, it's like you say, basically 2 complete laps. You can actually see Joliet in the back of the shot there. The only thing that might be the sting in the tail now for Joliet is that he is possibly going to catch up with these two while they're squabbling. And if they are squabbling, they might not see him sort of coming up. Obviously, they will be under blue flags, but there is the possibility that neither of them is going to want to give up the battle. Naldi is going to be thinking to himself, I can get this done. I don't want to give way to another driver and maybe miss my opportunity.
I think that the difference is too big. We need to take in account that it's tier 1, right? So all the drivers are fast here. So the difference is quite big right now between those 2 guys and the Jardier. So I think it will be, yeah, we can see it at the back of the screen, let's say. So quite an interesting battle, and I would say so. It's really, as we can see that Naldi is quite much faster than Lawrence, and now we also saw that in the qualification, but we can see how hard it is to at least have any chance. But of course, as I said, so it's tier 1. We see that Lawrence is properly defending and properly defending his position, and we can see that Jardier have finished the race. So basically he did everything what's needed for him. He got the maximum points and the win, and then the Thomas on the 2nd place. Then Papin finished 3rd, but with his 5-second penalty, he will end up on the 4th, and the Clifford will be the one that will finish in the 3rd position. Then Hackey, Fazekas, York, Gilot, Poggi, and Kazlauskas will end up in the top 10. But I think, yeah, we can get back to this fight, as it's only 0.4 seconds between those 2 guys, and still. So I think if Lawrence will be able to maintain Naldi behind him, that would be a really good result for him, and that would be a really good defending from him, and especially driving because he haven't made any mistake in this time, right? Because the Naldi is that fast that even if Lawrence would give the smallest possibility for him to get his front of the car in front of Lawrence, he would do that. But he haven't been able to do that for how many, 5, 6, maybe even more laps. So that's the, let's say, the number of laps that we have seen. And yeah, so it will be a really close finish, but Lawrence will still make it and will finish in front of Naldi.
Better play, I think, as well, though. That was a lovely battle between them. They both kept it very clean. There was no incidents going on there. That was an insane race, it has to be said. 60 minutes of Misano done. It absolutely hammered it down the entire time. There was not a single moment where the rain wasn't just absolutely ridiculous. So we can now go to the race results, time adjusted. And we can actually run through those results now, just before we try and get some people in for some, hopefully some post-race interviews. So, first place was Jardier, 2nd place was Thomas, 3rd place was Clifford, Papin down in 4th place after his penalty, Jorge in 5th, Fazekas 6th, Matt York 7th, Guliot in 8th, Poggi 9th, Kazlukas in 10th, then we had Crows in 11th, Buzov 12th, Waring in 13th, Victor Martin 8th, my brain broke then, Victor Martin 14th, 15th is Valentine Barrias, Sandre 16th, Lawrence 17th, 18th was Naldi, Walter Billen 19th, Levchenko 20th, Savic in 21st, and the last card across the line was Kumpo. Everyone else, the last of those drivers, so Vinogradov, Ranieri, Podens, and Delucia not finishing, obviously Delucia with that disqualification. So hopefully we are going to be able to get some people in for a quick chat in just a moment. Let's try and go to a slightly nicer view. So let's cut back across. Let's Music is already muted. Fantastic. So it is now just the Discord, and we should be able to get some people in just a second. So let's get our race leader in first, Jardier. Let's drag him in for a chinwag really quickly. Jardier, can you hear us?
Yo, hello!
Well, we said it last week. As soon as we knew that we weren't going to have Aiden this week, we said you really needed to get pole position. You needed maximum points. And here you are, maximum points. Absolutely outstanding race. It was absolutely hammering it down. There was lots and lots of incidents, and you somehow kept yourself completely clean. Talk us through that one, mate, because that was a textbook win.
Oh, mate, yeah, it was crazy. I mean, when I saw the flooded, I was like, I'm dead. Like, because, like, Honda obviously is amazing in the rain, but even in the dry here, this track is really slippery in those fast free corners in a sector 3. And even in like a normal medium rain, the Honda was killing me there, so I had to be really careful. And when it was flooded, I was like, I have no idea what I'm gonna do actually. So I went like as safe as possible on a setup to just survive. And at like, I don't know, in the first 7-8 laps, me and Michael were like half a second apart because I just we were driving. It was so crazy, so scary, so dangerous. A lot of people crashing right at the same time in the first stint. And but then yeah, then it got better. As soon as it got like to that minus rain or normal rain, I could have like start pushing a little bit more. And then I don't know what happened after the pits. I was asking now Michael what happened because the last last 4 minutes, like I was like dropping Michael like quite a lot, which obviously it was Honda and good conditions, but he said he had some stuttering, some issues and stuff. So I guess that explains it, because I was honestly expecting something crazy because he was so fast at the beginning.
Yeah, you two were proper squabbling it out. You two absolutely broke away from the main pack straight away. I think obviously the lack of spray that you two had as well. I thought we were going to see a little, maybe a move early on in the race actually by Thomas. There was a couple of times where you sort of got pretty close to overlapping, especially on those first couple of corners. I was thinking this has got to be some proper brave stuff, but yeah, you just about held on to it for the entire race and obviously came away with maximum points. And if I'm not mistaken, you are now leading the championship, Jardier.
Let's go!
So
only it took to send Aiden to Abu Dhabi.
Well, I mean, you had to get rid of him. Was he over there watching the real GT3 racing?
No, he's going for Ferrari Esport.
Okay, right, that's why it was. I suddenly thought to myself, oh, hang on, has he gone over for that? No, fair play. You got to do what you got to do. Martin, have you got any questions for Jardier?
Yeah, regarding the tire pressures, you said that the first stint was really flooded, and the second one was kind of lower rain. So the first question: so did you had a good pressure in the first stint? And secondly, how do you guess or you manage to have the right setup before the race? Because I think that the qualification was not that flooded. So basically, how do you know how much pressure do you need to put on the car?
Yeah, I would say it's like just experience. You know, we play this game for quite some time now, and obviously we were practicing on a practice server. As soon as the practice server or the server opened, like 1 hour before the qualification, it was really wet and it was very slippery. So we were doing like 44s lap times, 45s almost. So it was very similar to the beginning of the race. So yeah, I just knew I had to pump the pressures up. My pressures were a little bit too high at the beginning, but I think it was just like it's better in a wet if you have a higher pressure than lower pressure. You know, so I went like I had like 31.1 or stuff like that, but it was really it was just good, you know, like rather higher than lower. And I knew I had to put like a lot of pressure for the flooded conditions. So I would say it's just like, you know, the practice we did before the race and also the experience playing the game for a couple of years now.
Okay, so and then in the pit stop, then most probably you lower the pressure for the new tires.
Yeah, just a little bit because it was showing plus rain in the last like 5 minutes. So I just took it very safe. Like it was no reason to risk like any crazy pressures. As said, like in the rain, if you have like above 30, it's much better than having under. So that worked very well because the car in the second stint was really, really good. It was perfect conditions for the Honda when it was like that normal medium rain. So that was really, really nice, you know, to drive with.
Fantastic stuff, Jardier. I mean, obviously, maximum points coming away with the championship at the moment. So going into the final 2 rounds with that sort of a little bit of an advantage, you know that you have that little bit of an up for now. I imagine you'll be probably trying to go round to Aiden's house and maybe snip at his wires or something while he's away, just trying to make sure he can't compete maybe quite so well next time. But Jards, as always, absolute pleasure chatting to you. Shout out to your chat and everything as well, because they always end up dropping us a message or two. So appreciate it very much. And yeah, thank you ever so much for joining us, mate. And we will possibly see you, or hopefully see you next week in the post-race interviews as well.
Yo, thank you very much, lads. Hopefully, yes, hopefully I need to fight Aiden as hard as I can. So yeah, we need to bring it to him. Thank you. Hey,
Cheers,
see ya.
Right, let's drag in our second place finisher, Michael Thomas. Michael, can you hear us?
I can.
Fantastic stuff. That was a good old race for you as well. It was very close at the beginning. We thought there was a little bit where you might have taken away the lead from Jardier, but he was a force to be reckoned with this evening. I will say that instead. Talk us through your race a little bit.
I felt really comfortable at the beginning, behind Jards, and I did feel like I had a little bit more pace. Then there was kind of an equilibrium where he started to pull a little bit of a gap, and then I started to struggle. I'm not too sure why. And then just towards the end of the stint, I started to get really bad frame drops. I made a mistake in the fast right, went off the track, lost loads of time, got 2 warnings, boxed, left the pit lane, got a warning for leaving the pit lane, as you do. So I had 3 warnings, and then I had the same incident again. Fast right, just hit the curb on the turn in and lost some more time. Had to then just take it easy really for the rest. I'm not too sure. The car was just locking up on the second stint a lot on the brakes. It was a struggle, but I don't think I would have been close to Jards regardless. I think it would have been 6-7 seconds rather than 15 or so.
I think also as well, you in that final stint, you had Remy Papin, who was really starting to apply the pressure. Obviously, he had that 5-second penalty, which has dropped him down to 4th. But on the track, definitely towards the end of that second stint, he was really starting to apply some pressure. So do you think that was, like you were saying, the car just didn't feel quite as good, and you were struggling possibly with that frame rate issue as well?
Yeah, I mean, after the box, the frame rate was fine again. It was perfect. The second time I went off, it was just my own mistake. But then when you do it twice, you kind of lose confidence in the car, and that fast right, you need a lot of confidence to take it as far out wide as you can without hitting the outside curb. And I just lost that, so I was just kind of losing time there all the time, and then try to concentrate really hard on the car's behaviour. It was very, very strange. I can't really put it into words. And obviously Remy behind was fresh tyres. He was right on me, and I think he made a little mistake, so give me a tiny bit of breathing room. And he got 5 seconds, so I just kind of thought, if he's going to pass me, he's going to pass me. It let it happen. But yeah, then the last lap I made another mistake where the car locked and I lost some more time. It was frustrating, but I can't really complain at P2, honestly.
Yeah, P2 was a very, very good finish in Tier 1. It has to be said, well, in any of the tiers, really. But yeah, at the tippy top in Tier 1, that is a great finish to have up on the podium. Martin, do you have any questions?
Yeah, for sure. So, Michael, congratulations on your second place. Firstly, secondly, we have 2 rounds remaining, and Indianapolis, and then also the last one in Kielami. And I think as Naldi had some problems, let's say, or and let's say not that good round, so he lost a lot of points. So you should be somewhere in the quite near together with the Papin and together with Naldi. So basically, once again, back into the fight for the 3rd position. So what are your plans for the next 2 rounds?
I wasn't really concentrating on the points, to be fair. I haven't really paid that much attention, if I'm honest. I'm kind of just enjoying racing against some of these unbelievably fast drivers. If the results happen, that's great. Sometimes they don't, sometimes they do. But I will be pushing for the last 2 rounds. I do like Indy. I do not like Kyle Army, but the Aston is historically quite strong there, so hopefully it'll carry me a little bit. But yeah, looking forward to some more fights with the likes of Papin and Naldi and Jardy and Aiden when he's back.
So, so basically, right now, knowing that there could be some fight, are you, let's say, more thinking about it, or still no? So it's still each race having fun.
I think you've planted the seed more in my brain now, so I'm probably going to be a bit more conscious of it for the next 2 rounds, and hopefully that doesn't affect the kind of relaxed state that I've been in, and maybe that's helped with some of the driving. Yeah, hopefully I don't tense up and make mistakes.
Yeah, but
fingers crossed.
that's let's say that's our work, right?
Yeah.
To inform you about the standings also. So yeah, but
Thanks
so
for that.
so yeah, thank you. That's all from me.
Cheers.
Awesome. Thank you very much for joining us, Michael. And yeah, we will hopefully see you in the post race interviews next time round.
Hopefully. Yep. Catch you later.
Cheers. Right, and let's get in our third place driver, and that is Jonathan Clifford. Good evening. Can you hear us?
Hello. Yes, I can.
Oh, hang on. Just need to boost your volume a little bit on my end. There we go. That is significantly better. Well, technically it wasn't third place on the road, but you kept your nose out of trouble pretty much the entire race, to be fair. You just had a super clean race the whole way through and ended up coming home with third place. Absolutely fantastic stuff. How happy were you when you saw that 5-second penalty pop up?
I mean, you never want to be too happy at somebody else's misfortune, but pretty happy.
It's fine. You can say it here. You're in a safe. You're in a racer-friendly place. It's okay when you if it's to your advantage. It's okay if someone has misfortune.
Yeah. It looked a lot different from where I was. It looked a lot more side by side until I went back and looked at it. I was quite surprised to see the 5 seconds initially, but yeah, very happy.
Days. Obviously, you obviously are top finishing Lamborghini. What was the Lambo like out there this evening? Because we saw a couple of people in sort of those more sort of mid-engine cars having some issues keeping it all together when they were going over the wet curbs and everything. Was the Lambo fairly predictable, or was it a proper sort of white knuckles gripping the wheels fight to get it across the line?
No, I had a really good setup. I did a good job with that, so it was pretty predictable. Yeah, it was a very nice race, to be honest. Pretty straightforward. Just kept it calm.
Nice. That is what we like to hear. A very calm and controlled post-race interview. Like half the time we get people in here and they're either absolutely heartbroken that they aren't in pole position or they're sort of explosively happy. Usually in the case of Jardier, to be fair, he's an absolute firecracker regardless of what position he finishes in. But no, it's good to hear that sort of, there are people out there, even amongst the madness that was that race, that you, like you were saying, it kind of was pretty textbook and you managed to just keep it all under control, and obviously good to hear that the car was handling nicely as well. Martin, do you have any questions?
Yeah, Jonathan. So what was the main reason? So this season you haven't been that, let's say, competitive. At least we haven't seen you in the top 3 or top 6, right? So in this particular competition, so basically it was the car and the track or the conditions. So what was the, let's say, the key on the good result?
Probably the conditions more than anything, if I had to guess. Usually my best results usually come in the rain. I'm usually closer to the outright pace in the rain than I am otherwise.
So do you have some endurance background, or you do endurance? Because I feel that those drivers that do a lot of endurance are those ones that are best in the rain and the tricky conditions and mixed conditions.
Yeah, I've done quite a few endurance races. Do really love endurance races. So yeah, maybe that's right.
Okay, great. Maybe you have anyone that you want to say thank you, or just to say hi, if you as you have this opportunity.
Yeah, just thanks to all the other racers, the organization. It was a great race for me, and yeah, always had a great time here in AOR. So thanks for putting it on.
Thank you very much, mate. Appreciate it. Yeah, behind the scenes, there's obviously us two in the box, but yeah, there are lots and lots of people going on behind the background, putting bits and pieces together all over the place. So yeah, thank you for giving them a shout out, mate. Much appreciated.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you for putting on all the broadcasts for us.
Absolute pleasure, mate. I prefer this to racing at this point, so it's quite nice. I get to experience the best of both worlds, which is quite good. But yeah, thank you ever so much for joining us tonight, Jonathan. And yeah, obviously, best of luck going forth into the next 2 rounds. And obviously, at least one of the circuits is on your home ground as well this season. So fingers crossed for that one.
Yeah, thank you, thank you.
Right, so that is it. That is the post-race interviews all done. That is the race all done as well. So 2 rounds left in the championship to go. And I'm just double-checking I'm going to get it correct. So we've got Indianapolis Motor Speedway next time round. That is a 90-minute race, so refueling will be allowed on that one. And then Kailami is going to be the final. Nice to be back at Kailami for a final round in a season. It always... throws in some proper spanners into the works, does Kailami. It's one of those circuits where it either goes really well or absolutely catastrophic for drivers, so should be pretty interesting stuff. Obviously, in the standings, that now means that Giardier is now leading the championship at the moment. He has now taken away the championship lead from Aidan Walsingham. So that's some pretty interesting stuff. Obviously, unless there's any post-race issues, I really hope there isn't, but there should be absolutely fine. Thank you ever so much for joining us this evening at Apex Online Racing. Tomorrow we are back 7:30 for Tier 2. That is a Tier 2 Tuesday, as I like to call them, the Triple T. Obviously, it's just me on my own tomorrow, but we have obviously been joined again by Martin. Thank you ever so much for joining us. Do you have anything you'd like to say?
No, I think it will be a really interesting 2 races, the end 2 races in this season, because the standings is much closer right now, especially for the top 3. And right now, as if before that was Aiden to lose, right, and Jardir to catch up, so the situation is vice versa right now. So I think we have a lot of interesting races when the guys will not only start to think about the race itself, but also about the standings. So yeah, I'm happy about what will continue. And yeah, once again, thank you for having me here.
Absolute pleasure. So, right, that is it then. We will see you all next week for Tier 1, tomorrow for Tier 2. Big shout out to our patrons once again. Links for the Patreon, the Discord, and the website, all available below this stream and on the VOD as well. Thank you ever so much for joining us this evening. It has been an absolute pleasure, and that is us calling it a night for now. See you next week.